The night was raw and wet. Father and son were busy at cards while Mother prepared supper.
Hark the wind.
Listening, Dad? Jim, I hardly think you'll come tonight. I what?
Pathways are blocked and the roads are torn.
Oh, never mind, dear. Perhaps we'll win next time.
There he is.
At last.
Sergeant Major Morse, 8 years ago you enlisted just the slip of youth at the factory where young Herbert works today. Now look at you.
You don't look as the horse touched you.
It's good to be back.
After a fine supper, the little family circle regarded with eager interest this visitor from distant lands who spoke of strange scenes and wars and daring deeds.
I'd like to go to India myself, just for look around.
Better where you are.
What was it you began to tell me about monkey's paw or something?
Nothing. Leastways, nothing worth going into.
Monkey's paw?
Well, it's just a bit of what you might call magic, perhaps. To look at it, it's just an ordinary little paw. Dried like a monkey.
What is there so special about it?
It had a spell put on it by a holy man. He wanted to show the fate that ruled people's lives, and those who interfered did so at their own sorrow. He cast a spell so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes.
And have you had 3?
I have.
Were the wishes really granted?
They were.
Has anybody else wished?
The first man had 3 wishes, yes. I don't know what the first 2 were, but the third was for death. That's how I recall.
You've had your 3 wishes, and there's no good to you now. What do you keep it for?
Fancy, I suppose. Or fear.
Morris dangled the paw between his fingers, then, suddenly, threw it upon the fire. Mr. White, with a slight cry, stooped down and snatched it.
Better let it burn. If you don't want it, Morris, give it to me.
I won't. I threw it on the fire. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens. Pitch it on the fire again like a sensible man.
How do you do it?
You hold it up in your right hand, and you wish aloud. But I warn you of the consequences.
Sounds like the Arabian Nights. Don't you think you might wish for 4 pairs of hands to help me get these dishes washed?
If you must wish for something sensible.
To be sure, I will.
Another laugh, and the monkey's paw was forgotten in the business of farewell. After the guests left to catch the last train.
That monkey's paw is no more truthful than any of his other tales.
I'm sure it's all a lie of nothing.
As he left, he pressed me again to go away.
Likely. Why, we're going to be rich and famous and happy. Wish to be an emperor, Father, so that you won't be henpecked.
Herbert, you rascal!
I don't know what you wish for. And that's a fact. It seems to me I've got all I want.
If you just paid off the house, you'd be quite happy, wouldn't you? Well, wish for $200 then. That'll just do it.
You think, my dear?
What harm could it do?
All right. I wish for $200. Ah!
Mercy, you frightened us. What is it?
It moved. As I wished it twisted in my hand like a snake.
Must have been your imagination.
Well, I don't see any money anywhere, and I bet we never shall.
Never mind. No harm done, but give me a shock all the same.
Well, go to bed. I expect you'll find the cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed, with some horrible goblin squatting on top of your wardrobe, watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten gains.
The wind was high. A loose shutter banged. Herbert gazed into the dying fire and seen faces in it. The last was so horrible and ape-like that with an uneasy laugh, he felt onto the table for a little water doused up the last flames. His hand grasped monkey's paw, but he tossed it back onto the table, and with a little shiver, wiped his hand on his shirt before going up to bed. The next morning, in the brightness of the wintry sun, Herbert laughed at his fears. The idea of our listening to such nonsense! How could wishes be granted in these modern days? And how could $200 hurt you?
It might drop on his head from the sky.
More things happen so naturally, you might attribute them to coincidence.
Well, don't break into the money before I come from work. You'll become a mean old Scrooge and will have to disown you.
His mother watched the boy down the road and laughed at the expense of her husband's credulity, all of which did not prevent her from later that day, nor prevent her from returning somewhat shortly to a retired Sergeant Major's when she found the post brought a tailor's bit.
Herbert will have some more of his funny remarks, I expect, when he comes home.
That's true. For what it's worth, that thing moved in my hand. That will swear to.
You thought it did.
I said it did. I had just... What's the matter?
There. That woman is peering at our house up and down.
She is. How finely dressed she looks. Who can it be?
We shall soon see. Here she comes. Welcome. Please forgive our appearance. We weren't expecting guests.
And how may we help you, madam?
I was asked to call. I come from Mom. I in fact we saw her at work. So yes, we were just waiting for him. Is anything the matter? Something happened to Herbert?
Now, dear. Don't jump to conclusions. I'm sure you've not brought bad news, madam.
I'm sorry. Is he hurt? He's badly hurt, but he's not in pain. Thank God. Thank God. What are you saying? He was caught in machinery.
Called the machinery. So dangerous. You knew that. You did.
He stood staring blankly, and taking his wife's hand, pressed it as he had in their old courting days years before.
He was the only one left to us. It is hard to hard.
The firm which we convey their sincere sympathy with very much. I beg you to understand I am only their employee and obey policy. I am to say, the company disclaims all responsibility. They admit no liability at all, but in consideration for your son's services, they wish to present you with certain sums of compensation.
How much?
$200. In the huge, new cemetery some 2 miles distant, the couple buried their dead and came back to a house steeped in shadow and silence. It was all over so quickly that at first they could hardly realize it. But as the days passed, their grief gave place to resignation. Sometimes they hardly exchanged a word. It was about a week later that the man, waking in the night, stretched out his hand and found himself alone. The room was dark, and the sound of subdued weeping came from the window.
Come back. It will be cold.
It is colder for my son.
Her sobs died away on his ears. He dozed fitfully, and then his wife was shaking him.
The paw! The monkey's
What is
paw!
it? Where?
I just thought of it. Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't you think of it?
What?
The other 2 wishes. I've only had one.
Is that not enough?
And wish our boy alive again.
Good God, you're mad!
I had the first wish granted, why not the second?
A coincidence!
Get it and wish. That's my boy. It's my boy.
Well, your boy, he's been dead for 10 days. And besides, I would not have told you else, but I could only recognize him by his clothing. If he was so awful for you to see that, only imagine.
Bring him back. Do you think I fear the child I have nursed?
The man felt his way to the parlor table. A horrible fear seized him that the unspoken wish might bring back the ghost of his mutilated son. Proud hold his foot, he groped along the wall with the unwholesome thing in his hand.
Wish.
Which is foolish.
Wish!
But it is me. I wish my boy alive again, huh?
The monkey's paw writhed and fell to the floor. The man sank trembling as his wife with burning eyes walked to the window and gazed into the darkness. Time passed silently. Finally, the candle died out. The man, in unspeakable relief at the failure of the monkey's paw, slowly got up and crept back to bed. A moment or 2 later, his wife followed pathetically. Both listened silently to the ticking of the clock. The wind creaked, and a squeaky mouse scurried underneath the door. Then, suddenly, so quiet as to be scarcely audible, a knock sounded at the front door.
What's that?
Shut up. One in the dining room.
It's my son. It's Herbert. Come back.
No.
It's Herbert.
You don't know.
I forgot the cemetery was 2 miles away.
For God's sakes,
Let
don't
me
let
go.
me. Do not let me.
You're afraid of your own son. Let me go.
Don't.
But the gate swung lifelessly, and the street lamp flickered on a quiet and deserted road.